This is Reg Athwal, and welcome to another one of our episodes on book videos on our channel. This is the book that I had for today, The 7 Habits of Highly Effective Families. I'm sure you know of the author Stephen Covey. He's the one who's come up with all of the different 7 habits of highly effective people books. This one really resonates with me because of all the work that we do with family businesses. I remember reading this in early 2000, published a few years just before that, about taking the same 7 habits that he's got in his first book, but applying it here with this book with his children and all his family. So just kicking off a few things I want to share from the book today which resonate with me, having a chance to reread it again ready for this video. It says you're going to be off track 90% of the time, so what? And he's got an entire section here where he talks about how a plane is trying to be on a flight plan, and most of the time that plane is navigating and it's not really on track. It's navigating all the time until it gets to the last few minutes to eventually be aligned with that runway and reach the destination. So I thought that was a really nice way of looking at it, that it's okay if things aren't working out most of the time, but the most important thing is, are we navigating ourselves forward? Are we at least moving forward in the right direction, knowing, as he says, Stephen Covey, begin with the end in mind. At least know where you're heading, and eventually you will get there if you keep moving forward. A few good questions he's got here. Later on in the book, page 89, which is around some deep questions about what family is all about, what's important to all the family members. He's got, what is the purpose of our family? Great question. You think about your family, what is the purpose of your family? What kind of family do we want to be for the future? What kind of things do we want to be doing? What kind of feeling do we want to have in our home? I really like that question. What kind of relationships do we want to have with one another? How do we want to treat one another and speak to one another? What things are truly important to us as a family? What are our family's highest priorities right now and goals? What are the unique talents, gifts, and abilities of family members? What are our responsibilities as family members? What are the principles and guidelines we want our family to follow? Who are our heroes? What is it about them that we like and would like to emulate in relationship to our heroes? What families inspire us, and why do we admire them? And how can we contribute to society as a family and become more service oriented? I mean, it doesn't get any better than this, by the way. With a lot of family books that I've read, these 10 or so questions, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 15 questions to be more specific, are brilliant. So if you have to go back to the beginning of this video, hear those again, but also don't forget to go and get the book. Go to Amazon, get to your local bookshop and read through it. It's packed with information. It's a good 383-page book, just packed with really good information. So moving on to a couple of other areas here, he has a quote: parenting is not about being popular and giving in to every child's whim and desire. It's about making decisions that are truly win-win, however they may appear to the child at the time. So what he's really talking about there is, it's all about creating a win-win with the child. It may not seem like that at that stage, but he talks about how you could do that. So he says you can let them win in the little things. When children are little, 90% of the things are small. In our own family, if our children wanted to set up a swing in the family room, go outside, get dirty, or leave a fort in the house for weeks, we'd generally let them do it. Then he goes on, you can interact with them around the big things. In this way, they will know that you have their welfare in mind, that you're not out to build your own ego or focus on your own selfish concerns. You can be open to their influence as much as you can, involve them in the problem and work out the solution together. He says you can take steps to offset the competition focus. And he talks about letting them win. You don't have to be competitive with your own children, is what Stephen Covey is saying. Allow them to win. Allow them to feel, I won over my father or my mother, even though secretly, you let them. So a couple of really basic things. And then when he talks about translation and communication, there's 5 things he's got here. First of all, you've got someone who's listening at the very low frequency level of ignoring someone. Number 2, you've got someone who's pretending to listen. 3, you've got selective listening. 4, attentive listening. And 5, someone who listens with complete empathy. They are really with you with everything that you're saying. So where are you out of those 5 when you're typically with your family? Ignoring, pretending to listen, selectively listening, attentive listening, or listening with complete empathy? I think that's a really good area to focus on with your family. When he talks about problems that come up and having this listening, coming from this place of listening with empathy behind it, is key things to be asking family members. Questions such as, what are your concerns, Bob, Fred, Mary? What is truly important to you, Peter? What values do you want to preserve the most right now? What are your most pressing needs right now? What are your highest priorities in this situation? What are the possible unintended consequences of such an action plan? You know what? I sense your underlying concern is, fill in the blank. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm sensing that, fill in the blank. I'm trying to see it from your point of view, and what I sense is, fill in the blank. What I hear you saying is, fill in the blank. You feel that, fill in the blank. I sense that you mean, fill in the blank. So you can see, or hear from what I'm saying in this video that he's framing these questions in such a clever way that they're coming from a place of empathy rather than direct or making somebody wrong. I think that's a really good skill to develop. It's almost like a coaching technique that you can have with your children. He's got a section here in the second half of the book where he talks about building a map of each family member. So you have mom, you have dad. He's got here Spencer, Laurie, and grandma. Okay, different people, and underneath each person's name or that person in the family, you write down all the things that they're really good at. So he's got here, great cook, loves crafts, loves to hike, can fix anything, loves to read to us, play games, fun to be with, loves sports, is artistic, hunts, plays the piano, good with kids, loves to bake, good organizer, great storyteller. And the list goes on. And what I love about this, because it was a reminder for me when I was reading this, it's like a refresh for me, which is sometimes we can get caught up with the small stuff that annoys us about family members. Little things they do that annoy us. When really we should be looking at the bigger picture and focus on what are the things that each member of our family is brilliant at. What are they naturally good at? And how about acknowledging them and appreciating them for these areas? So there's a whole section where he talks about that, which I really like. Then he's got a very detailed model called destinations. And this is really to solve any problem. So when there's a problem and you're trying to solve it, he mentions that at the beginning of the cycle, it's all about survival. One is reacting to a situation just based on instinct. And maybe in 2020, if you're watching this in 2020 right now, you'll understand what we've all been through with the pandemic situation with COVID-19. I think that is a natural thing. It's about survival, reacting, going by instinct. And he said then from there, it leads to chaos, fear, victimization. From there, to elevate and go to the next stage of solving a problem, you need to go from survival to stability. And stability will involve organizing yourself, organizing your structures around you, having hope, gathering the right information and knowledge. And at the same time, the opposite is disorganization, ignorance around the situation. So you're going from survival chaos to reacting in the right way. You're going from disorganization to being organized with stability. You then get to success. So you're dealing with sometimes laziness, boredom, people are not taking action. And then you're getting into a point of inventing. So there's a level of excitement or confidence that's come from stability where there was hope. And finally, you get to significance, where there's contentment, sense of ownership, self-focused vision around significance, and detecting your mission, which is a sense of stewardship, contribution, and vision. And eventually you get to a point where you've gone from problem solving to creation. And that is what he talks about, what he refers to as the destination model here on page 324, about moving through that evolution of solving problems as a family. And I think that's really, really powerful. So he's got a little quote here. Consider the analogy of a car. If you had one foot on the gas pedal and the other foot on the brake, which would be the better approach to go faster? Flooring the gas pedal or releasing the brake? All right, that's a great analogy. Then moving on to other areas around being an observer when there's issues, it says if a child lives with criticism, he learns to condemn. If a child lives with security, he learns to have faith in himself. If a child lives with hostility, he learns to fight. If a child lives with acceptance, he learns to love. If a child lives with fear, he learns to be apprehensive. If a child lives with recognition, he learns to have a goal. If a child lives with pity, he learns to be sorry for himself. If a child lives with approval, he learns to like himself. If a child lives with jealousy, he learns to feel guilty. And if a child lives with friendliness, he learns that the world is a nice place in which to live. I really, really like that. That really resonates with me because he says you cannot not model. It's impossible. People will see your example, positive or negative, as a pattern for the way life is to be lived. And what he's talking about here, this whole section is about modeling, becoming a benchmark. People will do not as you tell them to do, but they will do based on what they see you do, okay? So don't just tell your children what to do, become the role model, become the benchmark. You know, it's like it says, if a child lives with criticism, he or she will learn to condemn. The last bit, if a child lives with jealousy, he learns to feel guilty. So there's an opposite situation, cause and effect. What are you doing that causes a positive effect rather than maybe a negative effect? And I think that's very, very powerful. What are the things you're doing right now, just naturally every day, that could have negative consequences for the next generation? He's got entire family tree structure. I really like this, about principle-centered family leadership, about modeling, which I've just mentioned, mentoring, organizing and teaching. I won't go on to that. Buy the book and learn about this yourself. But some of the needs he talks about is the ability to keep learning, which is around a mental, a principle-centered area of your family tree, to keep learning, affect your mental state, to live, physical and economic. So that's another area. To love, which is about social and emotional, and to leave a legacy, which is what I'm on. It's all about building legacies, is actually he refers to as a spiritual state. And the gifts around these things for learning is a gift that you can give someone is how to use your imagination. To live life, physical and economic, is to have an independent will and teach that to the next generation. To love is to focus on a self-awareness as a gift. And to leave a legacy is all about your consciousness and elevating your consciousness. So this is really, really powerful. Other things he talks about is trust principles and self, trust structures, value self, trust you as an elevation to become a great leader in your family. I think I'm going to end on that because there's just so much here in this book. Okay, you've got to go and grab a copy. Stephen Covey, really, really powerful. In summary, on the back page, you know, how can you have a quality time for your family when both parents or only one parent are working simply to keep food on the table? How can you build harmony in the family when everyone is criticizing and putting one another down? How can you influence a family who just won't listen to you at all? How can you strengthen your family to withstand destructive influences in society? How can you discipline without punishing? How can you rebuild a broken relationship when the feeling is no longer there? How do you create and maintain order and a spirit of cooperation in the family yet give family members the freedom and autonomy they need to grow and find fulfillment? And lastly, how do you create a spirit of fun, adventure, and excitement in the family? Lovely book. I'd recommend you go down to the description area. I've got all the details on the book and the links to the Stephen Covey Corporation to find out more about his organization, which still runs today, even though he has passed away. But he's definitely created a legacy with his family, and the 7 Habits continues to inspire many, many people. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button if you're not a subscriber. Leave some comments, and don't forget to come back next week for another episode of Book Videos, and watch some of the other show series episodes for family business experts, next-gen entrepreneurs, and family business Q&A on the channel. Thank you very much, and bye for now.